Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning, our professors in the house. I have seen our emeritus before now. Good morning, sir. You're welcome. And of course, our former Vice Chancellor, Professor Abdallah, I can see him. Welcome, sir. Good morning. And good morning, everyone. And welcome to another session of our bi-weekly seminar of the Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Olufemi Peters, I welcome you all to this. Today we are going to have another exciting and enlightening session because we have an erudite scholar, our very own of the National Open University of Nigeria. Before I go ahead, 5 minutes max to tell you about our center. We cannot stop telling you about it every time we have a presentation so that anybody new, we carry the news to the far ends of the world. So you are welcome. And I am Gloria Neto, the director of the center. So Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies was started about 3 years ago now, almost 3 years. Vice Chancellor Professor Abdallah Adamu, and since he handed over to the current Vice Chancellor Professor Olufemi Peters, the center has been working stronger and stronger, and we have been enjoying the support of our Vice Chancellor. The purpose of this center is basically to bridge the gap between humanity and the future. Its mission is to provide sustainable leverage for interdisciplinary research in migration and global studies. As we always say, Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies. But people tend to feel it's only migration we talk about. If we have global issues, all global issues are presented, it can be presented on this forum, not only migration issues, because it is a two-in-one center. So I just try to emphasize this correction now because people think no migration, no coming to this platform, and that is not true. You can link it to your topic, you can link migration to your topic if need be, and if not, let's talk about global issues generally. You are still welcome to present on this platform. We want to get educated from you, and we want you to tell us what you know. That's why we bring in experts, not only in migration. Of course, our presenter today is not an expert in migration. I know he's into agri, and yet he's going to discuss some things related to migration with us. So also our core values include integrity, inclusion, diversity, service, and it is participatory. Of course, our mandates include to provide leverage for field-based and solution-driven research to serve as agents of national policy for migration and global studies, to seek grants for academic activities and outreach of sustainability, to publish and sustain peer-reviewed academic journal and monograph series. Our latest journal is out. Let me use this opportunity to tell you that volume 2, issue 2 journal is already out, both electronically and hard copies. So everyone involved should please try to get a copy and go online and see the beautiful articles published in this journal. And then we also collaborate with stakeholders in the field of migration, global seminars, conferences, and public lectures in migration and global studies. And we are believing that this year we may be able to organize a seminar, but we need sponsor. We need people to sponsor us because, like I said, this center was established with a seed fund from Tech Fund, which has since been utilized. And so there's no more financial backing like that from Tech Fund. So we want to organize seminars in global issues, in migrated-related issues. We need sponsors. And so we are putting it out now so everybody who can assist us or direct us to kindly do so. We are reachable. We can be accessed easily. And my phone number, everything is online. So kindly go online to our email, to our website, International Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies, or you go to the journal site, International Journal of Migration and Global Studies, NOUN. When you get to that site, you see our journal. And of course, you can reach us through email and phone numbers. All those are on site. Just log in CEMGS NOUN. You will see the different site, you can continue to link from there. So having said that, I want to quickly go ahead to introduce the presenter for the day. The presenter, Gregory Obawarevo Okagbare. I hope I didn't murder that name. I attempted to pronounce it. He's a professor of animal science and the immediate past director of learner support services of the National Open University of Nigeria. He hails from Agbaru in Ughelli local government, Ughelli North local government area of Delta State, Nigeria. Professor Okagbare is a graduate of the University of Benin, Benin City, and University of Ibadan, where he obtained a Bachelor's of Education Science degree in Agricultural Science with second class honor in 1985. Master of Science and Doctor of Philosophy degrees in Animal Science in 1987 and 1990, respectively. He has 32 years teaching, research, and administrative experience within the university system. So you can see that we are not joking here with a mean person here today, but an erudite and distinct scholar. He served at the Delta State University as head of departments of animal science and fisheries, sub-dean of Faculty of Agriculture, dean, Faculty of Agriculture, deputy dean of Students Affairs. Here now, he has served as director of Asaba and Abuja Model Study Centers of NOW, NOUN, director of Learner Support Services, and a member of National Open University Governing Council. At the national level, he served as Vice Chairman Committee of Deans of Faculty of Agriculture of Nigeria Universities. He was also a visiting scholar to the University of Benin, Benin City, and Institute of Rural Studies, University of Wales, and Aberystwyth, United Kingdom. Professor Okagbare has published widely in national and international journals and is a recipient of several awards on account of academic excellence and community service. Of course, the list is endless. The CV you cannot read in a hurry, but I'll stop there so that I allow our scholar of today to share with us the knowledge he wants to share with us is on the Japa phenomena and its implication for the socio-economic development of Nigeria. So we want to listen to him because we are sure he's going to address this topic in a very, very academic way. So, sir, Professor Gregory Obawarevo Okagbare, over to you, sir, for your presentation.
Good afternoon, everybody. And for some of us that are in the parts of the world where it's just morning, good morning to all of you. I want to thank, first of all, the director of the center, for inviting me to give this presentation. And I do hope you will enjoy the presentation. Now, this afternoon, I will be addressing you on a topic which is titled the Japa phenomenon and its implication for the socio-economic development of Nigeria. So first of all, we want to know, what does this term Japa really means? It is a term that is used recently in Nigeria to describe emigration, especially among the youths. It has its origin from the Yoruba world. So Japa means emigration, people who are trying to live, who are leaving this country for so many reasons. Now, there is a growing tendency among Nigerian youths to want to leave this country. And recent statistics have shown by the UK office has shown that Nigerian nationals are the second highest recipient of the United Kingdom visas between December 2019 and June 2022. Also, as at June 2022, 65,929 Nigerians have gotten into the UK through study visas. in the same month, United States of America issued 6,915 non-immigrant visas to Nigeria, to Nigerians. This number does not include the Nigerians who have relocated through other. Now, this slides, you can see a number of travelers at the international airport here in Abuja who are trying to leave the shores of this country. Now, Nigeria is blessed with abundant, talented human resources, which is losing daily to other countries, such as the USA, Europe, Canada, Asia, countries like Dubai. Now, stories abound of people who have sold all they have in order to Japa. Now, some leave the country legally, while others use illegal routes, which have culminated in the death of so many in the Sahara Desert and the Mediterranean Sea. These Nigerians are leaving the country for so many reasons. You ask them, why do you want to leave these countries? And they have given reasons such as insecurity, unemployment, the quest for quality education, the search for greener pastures, and a better working environment. These are some of the reasons why they say they are leaving. Now, this lecture therefore seeks to address the effect of this behavior on the socio-economic development of Nigeria and the measures that can be adopted to ameliorate it. Now, we will now quickly look at some preparations. If you must leave the country, or if you must Japa, then of course there are certain things you must do. And what are those things that we need to do? Because if you don't plan very well, you will find out that you will run into trouble, because relocation is a very expensive business. And it is also very nerve-wracking, because some people have to sell land, furniture items, and properties to raise money. So relocation is a very expensive business, and we need to think very well. Now, what are those things that we need to do if we have to leave this country? What we should do? First, you have to psych up. Now, you need to prepare yourself mentally, because you are going to face some challenges. Living abroad is not glamorous or luxurious as portrayed. For many, when we hear of countries like USA, UK, Dubai, Canada, they tend to have the notion that once they arrive there, there is a money-growing tree planted on every street. But this is not the case. You have to hustle and cross many hurdles. 2, you need to imbibe different skills. Having several skills will give you a better opportunity of being hired and doesn't limit your employment prospects, because skills we cherish here in Nigeria may not be relevant in those countries. Now, you need to build a strong relationship with your family and friends. Keep your trusted family members and friends informed about your movements. Because if for any reason there's a problem, you need to reach back to them. You can imagine a situation where you did not inform anybody and there's a problem. You will lack the courage to reach out to them and ask for help. And this is the case of some of our people who have left this country and they are now stranded in foreign lands. Now, you need to be goal-oriented. You need to set your goals. This will enable you to stay focused and minimize the effect of distractions or assess your progress because traveling abroad comes with a lot of distractions. Now, you also need to have an associate. It is advantageous to know somebody in that country that you are going. This person could help to help you sort out things, to guide you on how to navigate the waters of the foreign land. You need to check your health status. Go for a medical check and find out about the weather of the country, weather that you want to relocate to. The doctor could help you, tell you if you can cope with the weather and tell you what to do to protect yourself. Now, you need to get a genuine visa. The process of getting visas these days is a little bit cumbersome, as many people are seeking to leave the country. It is therefore necessary that you go to the right route, because there are so many fraudsters that are taking advantage of innocent Nigerians. Now, you also need to learn the language. You need to learn the language of the country that you are going. It is important that you're able to pick some of the keywords that could help you. This is very, very important. You have to be friendly, because one of the challenges you will face in the foreign land, especially with some of the white countries, is racism. Some white folks don't like interacting with Black people, either because they see Africans as inferior, or probably have a notion that Africans are scammers based on the information from the news. So if you want to Japa to any of these countries that have a lot of racists, you must be ready to cope with that and be patient enough to prove yourself different. Then we also have to look at the feeding. Now, most of our local foods are not found there. And in areas where they are found, they can also be very expensive. So you need to find a way to adapt to their delicacies, their food, so that to reduce the cost of feeding, because this can be very, very high, because most of the local foods from Nigeria that are there they are imported there. So it's very, very expensive. Now you need to work hard. To earn a good living in a new location, you must be ready to work your ass off. If need be ready to wake up early, sleep late, and spend more hours at work. You must be biddable. You must be amendable. And then you must know how to plan your finances. Very, very important, because over there, there's no help that comes easily. So you need to plan your finances. You need to understand basic things about savings, budgeting. And you also need to know that the currency can fluctuate. Today, the exchange rate is over 700, now almost going to 800. And maybe by the time you left, if some people left earlier, left when it was about 400 or something. And what it will be tomorrow, we don't know. So you need to take all these things to consideration, and it will affect your purchasing power. And then you have to be law abiding. Endeavor to familiarize yourself with the laws of those countries, and as much as possible, try to obey them. You must live above board in your dealings. Most developed countries have stricter laws, and they see to it that everyone abides by them, from traffic laws to tax laws to general laws. If you disobey any, you pay a huge sum of money as fine, or you go to jail. Unlike here, you can't buy anybody over. You will have to face the music. Now, these are some of the things that you need to do if you have to leave these countries. And this brings us to the next topic, which is subtopic, which is inherent advantages of Japa. Is there anything good in living this country? Now, we do know that immigration has created a wide gap, which may be very difficult to fill in our workplaces, because these people who are leaving this country, some of them are very experienced. There were instances where the Nigerian Association of Medical Doctors revealed that only 10,000 resident doctors are left in the nation today, and roughly 100 of them depart the country every month. Also, many of our experienced, talented, especially the software engineers, are leaving the country. So that puts us in a very difficult condition. Now, this earning gap notwithstanding, there are inherent advantages in the exodus of these professionals to more developed climes. And some of these advantages include: one, the attainment of world-class professional status. Now, the movement outside Nigeria exposes the professionals to advanced facilities and improved work environment, thus sharpening their skills and creating greater visibility for their expertise. This in turn will improve the perception of Nigerian professionals, because if they are perceived to be highly competent and intelligent individuals, then Nigerian professionals across the world, including those who are still in the country, can benefit from this perception. We already can see this in the number of countries coming to Nigeria to recruit health workers and IT personnel. Even only recently, the United Kingdom also announced that as from February, which is this month, 2023, Nigerian citizens who are will be able to get jobs in the UK as teachers for as long as you have the qualified teaching certificate from Nigeria, a move that is perceived to lure underpaid teachers and lecturers to their countries. Now, we are hearing many wonderful news about our citizens in the diaspora. They are now our most important foreign resource and asset, despite our just concern about brain drain. Now, the brilliant performances of our great men and women gives us hope that when our nation succeeds in organizing itself, they will come back home. Now, we also have a major advantage that foreign exchange earning flows in. You have increase in foreign exchange earning. A number of these Nigerians who are outside the country are sending home to their families and friends. And from the statistics, it was Nigeria, they revealed that diaspora remittances in 2021 was $19.2 US. And this has no doubt boosted the economy of this country. And then we also have another advantage, creation of a better work environment for workers. The exodus of professionals has forced some employers to start looking for improved working schemes for their workers to stem the mass resignation of staff in their establishment. This enhancement of salaries and other incentives, increased staff trainings and recruitment of hitherto unemployed professionals to replace those that have left their establishments. Now, another interesting thing that could come out of this exodus is that some Nigerian companies are forced to raise their standards of the work standards to international levels in order to compete with their international counterparts. So those are some of the inherent advantages in this mass immigration. But should that continue? No. So why do you think we should stay back in this country, Nigeria? Now, most Nigerians who are fleeing this country today are doing so out of desperation and the hope for a more sane future where their lives will not be affected by inefficient systems and corrupt institutions. However, no matter where you are, there is no place like home. Now, the Nigerian foods are very tasty. And we have a lot of music and jokes are very entertaining. And of course, they keep coming, they never stop. Nigeria has vast resources to be tapped into. There are still many sectors to be tapped: the information technology, agriculture, tourism, etc. The Chinese and the Indians can visualize this and are building wealth in Nigeria. There are still Nigerians who are working very hard to plug these holes that were and gaps left by the exodus of these young men and women. And we must do everything to support them, because these are the people, they work very hard without recognition or reward, and they are the ones still keeping the system standing. Now, Nigeria has great assets of men and women who sincerely have faith in God, believing in God and doing their best to do God's will. There are also many fake men of God, but this should not blind us to the positive impact of religion, Christianity, Islam, and the African traditional religion in guiding the daily lives of our people. In Nigeria, there is no ceiling to what you can achieve. And that brings us to the next question. How can we stem the tide? What can we do to stem the tide of migration of Japa out of this country? Now, despite the seeming benefits to be derived by the migration of Nigerians from the country, the exit of these professionals and able-bodied men and women from the country has and will further increase the yearning gap in our quest for economic emancipation. Now, there is also the aspects of social disintegration of our society, because now we are beginning to have children with different citizenship from those of their parents and grandparents. For example, you have families where you have a grandparent Nigerian, a parent American, the children Canadians, with no effort being made to integrate them into the Nigerian society. Many of our brothers and sisters whose ancestors were sold as slaves to America, Brazil, Jamaica, etc., are constantly yearning to trace their roots back to Africa. Their souls will not rest until they are able to do so. This is the fate that awaits our people who are leaving the country for the supposed greener pastures if they don't make effort to also integrate these children back into the Nigerian society. It is my prayer that this should not be their lot. Like Bob Marley of blessed memory will say, no matter your nationality, as long as you are a Black man, you are an African. Needless to say about many who are stranded in foreign lands and are not able to return home due to financial difficulties or shame. It behoves on all of us to work hard to reverse this trend so that they can come back home. And to achieve this, I have made some suggestions that could help us improve on our environment so as to lure our brothers and sisters back and prevent further migration of Nigerians out of this nation. First of all, we must have confidence in ourselves. That is the first thing we need to do. We should do away with the notion that our educational system is archaic, irrelevant, and non-functional. Rather, we should harness the knowledge and skills available in our tertiary institutions, the research institutes and local industries, as well as our senior citizens, to help initiate the developmental process. We are all witnesses to the fact that a number of countries have been coming to recruit doctors and other medical personnel, IT personnel, and academics trained in this country. Only recently, the United Kingdom announced that as from February 2023, citizens of Nigeria with valid teaching licenses can also obtain the qualified teaching status in England without any extra courses and get jobs in the UK as teachers. So I would like to say also that this is not to say that our educational system does not need to be improved upon. Knowledge is always advancing, and we must try to keep pace with the rest of the world. This we must do. We must continually continue to improve on our educational system. Now, two, that government should massively invest in human capital development, because human capital remains the most viable and stable stock of any nation. Education requires more investment, being the bedrock for sustainable national development. Attention should be given to technical and vocational education, especially at the secondary school levels, to equip the youth with vocational skills, which they can leverage on in the event of not getting paid employment after leaving school, or increase their personal savings as a result of reduction in the payment for maintenance services, because they would acquire some basic skills. Now, we must also enhance the welfare of teachers at all levels. Teachers ought to be the most highly paid public officers to be able to attract the best brains to teach, as no nation can develop beyond the caliber of its teachers. Only the best is good enough for the classroom. We should avoid negative categorization and group profiling. Nigeria as a nation of diverse people has come to stay. We should first see ourselves as Nigerians and positively exploit our differences and diversities. The world is now a global village, and each geographical entity must work hard and not allow our differences to tear us apart. God has given us natural resources, even though their management so far leaves much to be desired. We must learn to work with one another, putting our knowledge and skills together in order to harness the inherent potentials of our people for the survival and to be competitive globally. Now, we need to also improve on our leadership recruitment process. And that is why I feel that the introduction of the BVAS, which is the bimodal voter accreditation system in Nigeria, and the electronic transmission of results to the INEC viewing portals is a welcome development and should be sustained. For a long time, Nigerians have not elected their leaders. The poor recruitment process have thrown up many corrupt and incompetent rulers who parade themselves as leaders. We as a nation have lost wonderful opportunities for development due to corrupt practices by rotten government officials. Corruption is a form of national robbery. A corrupt person steals from everyone. Those who are corrupt have chosen evil over good and greed, selfishness over the well-being of all. They destroy the health of the nation. Corruption can only be defeated when good people come together to do something about it. A situation where those who are against corruption are threatened, vilified, marginalized, ridiculed, should not be allowed to persist. We have a duty to let the world to know the truth, and those causing everyone to crawl while they ride on the horseback, rather than clapping for them, celebrating them, and awarding them honors for pittance. The sad thing here is that the ivory tower are also complicit here. Sometimes when I take a look at the list of those given national honors and honorary PhD degrees, I wonder who are those that have crippled the economy of this nation and promoted its underdevelopment. We need to raise a generation of corrupt-free youths who will build a new society. We need leaders who will rescue this nation, not by greed, but a genuine attitude of servitude to the people. At present, we have too many kleptomaniacs managing the affairs of this nation. And that is why many things seems not to be working. If we are genuinely bothered about our plight, we have to change the negative narrative of mediocratic leadership culture. For too long as mediocres been our leaders. The national orientation agencies should be reinvigorated to mobilize the citizens for the love of the country. The level of patriotism among Nigerians at the moment is very low. And there is a mass pervasive distrust of government by citizens. Many more are thinking of themselves, families, ethnic and religious groups. In fact, many of our youth wish they were not born into this country. And sadly, even among the elites, some still believe that we gained independence too early, and we would have been better off if we are still under the rule of the colonial masters. This is very disappointing. Patriotism and commitment to intellectual development are what is urgently needed and should be pursued vigorously. Now, the Nigerian state will grant autonomy to the local government areas. The efforts of the National Assembly to amend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to grant autonomy to local government areas should be supported. I feel very sad each time they say some of our state governors are not willing to support the autonomy of the local government area. But you cannot develop without a functional local government system. The local government areas are the fulcrum for rural transformation and national development. We also need to resuscitate our ailing industries and help build a resilient team that can withstand any business constraints. First, we need to focus on agricultural development. Judging from the large expanse of arable land and friendly climate nature has endowed us with. Then we move to the steel plants. This will guarantee food security and accelerate the production of machine tools and spare parts for the manufacturing industries. The net result is that we will be able to generate and conserve foreign exchange rather than depending on diaspora remittances. Despite depending on diaspora remittances, we'll be like depending on Yahoo boys who make money through inordinate ways and spend them for immediate gratification and luxuries, and sooner becomes paupers and frustrated beings. Now, employers should implement new strategies that streamline recruitment and increase employee satisfaction, while employees should develop themselves to provide more value at their workplaces and be more open to more flexible networking. We need to promote merit and be less tribalistic in our recruitment process and appointments to political positions. This has been the bane of our development. We think first of people, when they want to give an appointment, what comes to their mind is you are trying to give somebody a position to make money for himself and his cronies. That should not be. It should be a place of service. Who can do this job better? And then you give to the person. That is how it should be. Finally, I think government should intensify efforts at fighting insecurity in the land. No nation can develop where the safety of lives and properties of the people cannot be guaranteed. Now, in conclusion, I would like to say that many young people fleeing the country today are doing so out of desperation and the hope for a brighter, more sane future where their simple lives are not affected by inefficient systems and corrupt institutions. And they will flock back to a more promising country if there is better leadership. Now, this is my vision for this country. See Nigerians coming back home from foreign lands to a more prosperous nation. There is growing poverty in the land. The people are progressively being impoverished. And as a result of dishonest practices and inept management of public funds. But as a nation, we cannot afford to be despondent. The Nigeria that we want can be built by no other, but we, Nigerians. We can't depend on foreigners to build our country for us. We are the ones who should build this country. And we have to join hands together to fix this nation so that we can reduce this crave for Japa and encourage our brothers and sisters to return home. That is how it should be. I thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prof, for that wonderful presentation. You can see everyone is already clapping for you because it's really an enlightening one. I didn't get the angle you were coming from at the beginning, and I was saying, wow, but I now enjoyed it because when you were telling us things to put in place when we want to Japa, I said, thank God the Prof is preparing us for Japa, and I am one of those is preparing because I know that I may soon Japa for greener pasture. I said, so Prof is preparing us. So thank God there's somebody preparing us for a change. But at the end, and I saw that this one is beyond what you are thinking. So Prof, thank you very much. This is a wonderful one. And I can see that hands are already up. People want to contribute or ask questions from this presentation. But I will allow people to talk so that I may be the last to ask my own questions. So the very first person that I had his hand up is Professor Abdallah, and that will be immediately followed by Emeritus Professor Sogolo. So over to you, sir. Professor Abdallah, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
I have to raise my hand because if I don't, I will be the director will start worrying. What have they done wrong that I didn't say anything? So I am forced to talk, even if I don't want to talk, even if I don't need to talk. I am forced to talk. Because last time I disappeared and she was worried and was calling me, sending mail. Why did you leave us? What have we done? We are begging you, forgive us. I said, I had internet issues. So thank you very much, Professor Okagberry, for at least giving us a food for thought. When I was listening to you, I actually thought I was in a church. Because what I hear is a sermon about how great Nigeria is, the wahala that you face when you go over there, and what you should do in order to make sure that you remain in Nigeria and to develop Nigeria and what the government will do. Prof, government knows all these things. They know it. It's nothing new. We're not telling them that they should make life better for citizens. And I'm telling you, if some of us had an inkling of what Nigeria would be when we had the opportunities to travel out of the country, we wouldn't be back. We'll stay. I was a Fulbrighter in California. I had an opportunity to stay. I said, no, I have to come back and develop Nigeria. I was a Rockefeller Foundation in Italy. I said, no, I have to come back to Nigeria. I was a visiting professor in Poland. I have to come back to Nigeria. Now, if we had known how Nigeria would have been, if we have known that we can spend 8 months on strike without a salary, and at the end of the day, nobody gives a damn, nobody cares what happened, I'm very sure we would have probably stayed over there, despite all the racism, the cultural differentiation, and so on and so forth. Because at least your fundamental value as a scholar will have been appreciated. Of course, I know you're not addressing intellectuals. You are basically addressing ordinary citizens, the taxi drivers, keke napep drivers, vulcanizers, and so on, who somehow or the other find their way out of the country through illegal route or do irregular migration. The fact remains. The fact remains as it is now. Nigeria is not a very, very wonderful place to stay. Let's be very frank. Okay. We can continue to hope and pray that things will be better. I have a family that lives out of the country. My daughter and her children live outside the country. She wants to come back. I don't want her to come back because I know that her opportunities of whatever it is she wants to do are better over there than here. But perhaps probably the biggest message from the lecture was this cultural cringe, the idea that anything that is non-Nigerian, non-African is superior. This, I think, is the critical thing. We all like to migrate, but when you go over there, the weather, the food, the social conditions, the lack of humanity. I mean, here you are surrounded by people who love you, who care about you. You are surrounded by people who are in the same boat, even if they are poor. Just as you are, at least they provide you with comfort. Over there, you have case studies of people dying in their flats and getting rotten for 6 months without anybody knowing whether they are still alive or dead. That kind of inhumanity and lack of cohesiveness of community cohesiveness is jarring. So even for that reason alone, you could discourage people from trying to Japa or to migrate. Hijra, we call it Hijra in the north. We're doing Hijra, that is moving away from one place to another. So I think it's wonderful, but for us not to Japa, we have to look at societal and social dysfunction. That's exactly what is causing the Japa. We're looking at the fact that people move, but we're not looking at the fact of why they move. Okay, even this currency change alone is enough to make people run away. But you keep saying, oh, be patient, things will better, be patient, things will better. They have been saying that for the last 20 years. They're not getting better, they're simply getting worse. But like I said, if there's a very strong argument that I can give with that in his lecture about not wanting to live, is this cultural identity, the idea that once you live, you're likely to lose your culture. I have cases of people in San Francisco taken to jail because they disciplined their children in an African way. When a child does something in home and you smack him because that's what you do in Africa, the child doesn't believe. The following day reports that his mommy he beat him, and the social service people come in and take away the child. So you have this issue of why you don't have any control over your cultural identity in those places. So I think it's something that we need to keep food for thought. But Prof, all those recommendations about what government should do, they know they're not going to do it. But you have a chance in February to elect the leaders that you believe could really do, even though all of them are liars. And they will lie and tell you that they will do this, they will do that. But the moment they get in, they don't do it, because that's what they have been doing to us. They will say, we'll do this, we'll improve. There will be no more migration. There will be no more Japa. But all their children, I'm telling you, all the children of those who are seeking to become our leaders, their children are outside the country. All of them. They are studying outside the country, including the current regime. Their children are outside the country. They stay outside the country. They're living outside the country. And they want you to stay and continue suffering and smiling. So once more, Prof, thank you very much for that put for thought. Like I said, I thought I was in the church, not in a seminar. But basically, knowledge sharing is about spirituality. And we have awakened our spirituality I'm glad the old man is here, the grand old man. Well done, sir.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you. So over to you, Professor Sogolo.
Thank you very much. I'm always, you know, very happy when I see Professor Abdallah Uba Adamu. You are a fantastic man. You know, we have to be talking more than we are doing. You see, just like Professor Adamu said, you know, when you listen to Kagbari, you think that it's one of these preachers, you know, preaching, although the message is more of a secular nature about Nigeria and what is good for Nigeria and so forth. But I just want to say that Japa is not as new a trend as it is made to look sometimes. Even in our days at the University of Ibadan in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, professors were, you know, leaving this country for Europe. Medical doctors were leaving for Saudi Arabia and so forth. The trend was much. And for medical doctors, yes, you know, the reward was quite, you know, obvious. But for those of our mates who left for America, who left for Europe and so forth, they started teaching there, and the conditions were, you know, very good. But I don't think they got, you know, a greater advantage than those of us who were behind. Many other Nigerians who left, you know, and went to Europe, to America, even to the Asian countries, they found only too late that the places they migrated to were not as good as, you know, they thought. And so, you know, once you find out that you have made an error, it sometimes becomes difficult for you to return, because those you left behind, you know, have moved. They now hold on to the Nigeria of the early days of the time they left. So you have a lot of Nigerians who are in the US and, you know, who still talk about what the way Nigeria was in the 60s, in the 70s, when they left. And, you know, although, you know, due to natural, they're bound to leave this earth. Some of them have died, you know, and some of us they left behind have also died. So the issue I want to point to, which Ogagbare's, you know, discussion really, as you know, it underlines the Ogagbare's discussion, is ignorance. That a lot of us take the decision, all right, out of ignorance. But, you know, I would say this, there are many who still think that the decision they took, Japan, is the correct decision. So you feel refreshed when you listen to Okagbari, and I think you still have, maybe when you retire as a professor, you still have another assignment to do. You go into to the church and take up a new assignment. You will be very good in it. And if you want to make money, I can assure you that's you have the skill for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your contributions. I can see Dr. Destiny Idegbekwe. Dr. Idegbekwe, you are muted. Unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. I know you've been disturbing me for something else. My apologies. I will get back to you, ma. I want to thank Professor Kagbari and the other two of our fathers that have been speaking. I want to thank him for the good lectures and the other insights. The topic being discussed today, I think I'm a real life example of it, because I just left to the UK about 4 weeks ago. I left my lecturing job in Nigeria, got a postdoctoral position in the University of Salford in Manchester, and I had to leave. And I'm in a new environment. So everything Prof was talking about, well, yeah. So I'm a real life example of it all. The environment is different here. The laws are different. The coping strategies are different. However, I must say, this place is far, far better than home. It's far, far better than home. I'm in my house at the moment. I have Wi-Fi, internet connection, but my phone, it hasn't gone off. There's power, there's water. I do research in Nigeria and I sweat. I recharge my data. My office doesn't have Wi-Fi. You need to see my study area in my university as a postdoctoral, or is it my lectures that I go with my lecturers to go and deliver? We prepare slides. There are so many things going on here. You enjoy academic work here. Compared to Nigeria, I was in the University of Africa. You needed to see my office where I share with 3 other persons. There are no facilities. There is no toilet. Oh no, what are you telling me? So if you contextualize this, I want to tell you that 99 out of 100 academics, let me not even mention other categories of professionals, would want to be in a place like this. Because in a place like this, you can get to the zenith of your aspirations. All your gifts, they come up, they come alive. If I'm in Nigeria and I'm using my data to view this, I would have gone off about 4 times. Come back, go, come back, go. I'm a true life manifestation of this. I may miss many people at home. However, I'll just find a way to make new friends here and move on with my life. Thank you very much. That's my contribution.
Thank you, my dear brother. I can feel you. Professor Tijani, good afternoon, sir. You were not with us at the beginning. I can see your hand up, and you know that I was going to call you to say, where were you? So thank God you came on time. So you're welcome, sir. Over to you, Professor Tijani, and saving me the problem of calling you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for not identifying that I was with you, even if it's in spirit. And then thank you for not identifying the fact that I wasn't in England, that you are 6 hours ahead of me. But we are here. And what we have built, we must continue to be part of it. I think it's a divine connection. And the vision of Professor Abdallah Adam will continue with this type of, knowledge sharing opportunities. And the continuation, of course, with the blessings of the current Vice Chancellor, Professor Peter, will also give us that ability to begin to make it a powerhouse. So I commend you for continuing the tradition and improving upon it. That is what scholarship, leadership, followership is all about. I want to thank Professor Kagbari. I tried to get him when I, had the opportunity to pioneer at the center, but he was so busy. And but I want to thank him for that audacity to mix scholarship with advocacy. I will not put him in the pulpit as a pastor, but I say it in a way that is more befitting, which is his audacity to mix scholarship with advocacy. There's nothing bad in that, even in your paper, in terms of interrogating the multifaceted multidimensional issues as it has to do with the topic. But we need to distinguish the general. I'm not talking about General Abacha or Ibrahim or Buhari, from the specifics. The presentation could be general, and I've heard him talking about leadership, and I keep putting the question in my brain. Who are the leaders? Are we not all leaders? Then specificity is important to contextualize the multidimensional nature of the topic, Japa. And I share with you, Madam Director, even on the other side of the real pulpit, where Femi Emmanuel, it has been for weeks now, the topic, and to be more specific in terms of, teaching the youth. The other issue raised by Professor Kagbari is corruption. And my own thinking is that it is at all levels. It is everywhere, but with variance. The United States and other developed economies are not without their own corrupt tendencies. The young man that I talked about where he's currently at will soon begin to see the wisdom in what Professor Abdallah Obadamu, stated. It is not all El Dorado. And that is part of the specificity I'm talking about. And before I round up, I'll give you some specifics. As you all know, and you said it the last time as you come and present, which of course I did a roundtable even when I was the pioneer director. The point is this: your specificity or case study is very, very important to avoid general, remarks that may diffuse what actually you work hard presenting. In 1996, I returned from SOAS, University of London, as a Commonwealth Scholar, to LASU, my alma mater, being the first LASUite to be employed as a lecturer. I was on Commonwealth Scholarship. I returned, and it was really nasty. The experience was so terrible that for 3 months, I couldn't even enter my own office. For 3 months is something you can validate. But of course, God was on our side. We can invoke God when we talk about some of the specificities. But I have to leave in 1997. But also returned after from 97 to 2011. When I came back in 2011, I came in as a visiting professor to the same LASU. Of course, I did the needful, because you can't just leave. You cross the T because you were bonded. So you pay their money and then you go neatly. So I was able to come back. And I was thinking of going back to the US because it was a summer. And it was the DG of this institute in Kuru. He was the Dean of Social Sciences there. And he said, TJ, no, you are not taking your student to Dakar or South Africa. You are not making that extra dollar. You have to come. Things are horrible. I listened to him, one of my former teachers, and I served. In the course of that, Adeleke University invited me. And when I took up that appointment in 2011, September, I returned to the US, resigned. No, I took leave of absence, not resign, without foregoing the dollar salaries. And I came back. And the insult I was hearing from colleagues in the US, as well as those in Nigeria, what is he looking for? Is he crazy? Is the only one without, all that thing also diminish your intention. And I think I served for good 8 years, even serving all the way to becoming the deputy vice chancellor at that university. And the time I was leaving, Professor Adamu, Professor Okoje, they arrested me for good. And I came to now, okay? And I put in service. The last 1 year, I was not taking anything because I've been opportune to have another appointment to start pioneer, job of the center that I currently superintend. But what I'm saying is that even returning is also challenging. So this El Dorado of Japa and not Japaing or returning, or the trajectory of our specific experiences that was eloquently presented by Emeritus Professor Sogolo. You can check the YouTube for his presentation that later backed an article in the Center's journal. Need to be read. So specificity is important. Now let me round up because I don't want to give another lecture. There is an emerging new trend that we need to look into, and I also share with the director. Those who left, particularly to England, in the 90s, 80s, and early 2000s, thinking of coming back when they are 65, they must have put in something and then they have retirement, they were building and what have you. I was shocked to read that some of them are, based on qualitative ethnographic research by someone in England, they are changing the trend. They are no longer interested in returning. Why? Some of the factors were identified by Professor Kagbari. The houses they built, they cannot go back. Someone just told me yesterday when we were having a roundtable on campus, and the person is also a PhD student with us from Open University, and we were reading this article talking about Professor Kagbari's paper. I don't know whether she's here. It's too early for most of them. So what we discovered was that somebody returned from Houston, and he did not tell anybody. Guess what? The following day, he just stepped out to go and pick something, and the police stopped him somewhere in Lagos by the Ibadan, those places, the houses in Ikeja, and they asked him to come down. It was a nasty experience. And the man said, "What did I do?" He said, no, are you not the one? You just came back from US yesterday now. At that point, he just calmed down. Down. Guess what? He has to settle the police officers. So when you talk about corruption, it is not just about the Mr. President, governors, BVI, all this. It's not limited to vice chancellors. It's not limited to state governors. It's not limited. It's all about us. Until we have that act, and not many of us can come out and say, I did not collect any kobo for what I have been doing. It's for humanity. And when corruption fights those of us that are on that path back, they fight with all their energies. They blackmail. They talk that you will say, oh my God, I will never. But again, it's an eye-opener. And I want to thank again the Center for this opportunity. I want to specifically thank the visionaries. And I want to appreciate Professor Kagbari. I've never listened to him present. He was busy with his own unit, which is one of the largest when I was with Open University. I thank you for this opportunity to speak. I know you will call me by the rest of my hand.
Thank you very much, Professor Tijani. I must agree that was another lecture. And I want to also say that just to buttress a little on what you said, that police person that you gave the example that accosted the person that returned. I think that really borders, not only on corruption, but on insecurity and safety as a problem in the country, because that is more like, how did they know he came back from US? So insecurity and safety, that's another point, not only corruption. Thank you so much, sir. And then I have Dr. Emina as the last person for now. After Dr. Emina's comments, then we will allow our presenter to say something, like answering those comments or questions, then we take the next set. And I can see, okay, a set is Professor Helen Kwanache, that is going to be the last, then maybe she will take, and then we listen to the presenter, to comment on all those issues raised. And I may add my own to it as the case may be. So quickly, Dr. Emina, over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Professor Kabari. I think listening to your presentation, basically, my interest was on your submission or solutions to the issue of Japa, which actually you talked about a lot of things that the government needs to do. And in responding to that, Professor Abdallah had also said that the government will not do it. But I think my emphasis here is your call for patriotism, because most of these places or these countries that we all Japa to or want to Japa to, like Destiny actually mentioned, was actually built by people, committed and patriotic citizens of those nations who thought that there is need to put things in place. And if we all keep living and running away, who fixes it? That becomes my major concern, because I believe we all have a role to play as individuals, especially as scholars. We should be able to begin to look inwards on how to provide solutions. So I really want to thank Professor Kabari for drawing the attention of scholars. Let's look inward to fix these issues. And he has started by saying that we now have an opportunity, we have a chance come 2023 to set the leadership questions in our country right. And I think that is the basic for any growth and development for any society. So, Prof, thank you for that wonderful presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mina, for your contribution. So let's quickly listen to our professor, who is always with us, Professor Helen Kwanache. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much, Director, for the opportunity. And this is one of my favorite places at NOUN. And any Wednesday I'm not here, they know that something very serious has held me up. I've listened to many Japa talks. Japa is not necessarily a bad thing. The world is not a global village. Let's move around. We experience stuff here. We go there, we also experience stuff, good and bad. And I think I see people come back, maybe not so many, but the societies there are benefiting from us. They don't even have teachers anymore. First it was doctors, then nurses, then care assistants. They don't have teachers. So we are helping to build their communities and their countries, and in the process also improve ourselves. I think it's very important. People will live because basic primordial needs are not being met. You have to be able to feed your family, to house your family, to school your children. And we are talking about election in February. What options do we really have? Seriously, are you expecting much change? There are people who can probably bring about some changes, but they didn't try. They can't come out. And I predict, I'm not a prophet of doom, and I'm not into preaching and all that stuff, but I predict that things are going to be worse before they get better. I believe ultimately it will get better and people will come back. But wherever they are, Nigerians are representing us. Wherever Nigerians are, whether it's in Europe, America, or down under, people know that we Nigerians will perform. Forget the negative media. So in a way, they are our ambassadors. And I think it's not necessarily a bad thing. Besides, the world is not a global village. If I live here now to go to the UK, to go to London, I will get there faster than if you live here to go to my So go to Okagbare's village, Agbaro. I'll talk about that at the last minute. So I think the onus is on all of us. It doesn't matter whether we are here or like Professor Tijani, we are in the US, or Destiny in the UK. We need to decolonize our work environment and our job descriptions. Let us be the best of ourselves and offer the best that we can offer, bearing in mind that this country is where God has placed us. Anywhere I am, I'm in Nigeria. This one I've said some not nice things about our country. Let me be somewhere and you say anything about Nigeria, I'll pull my shirt and I will fight for this country. So we can be patriotic. We can also serve. People need to be able to pay their rent, feed their children, and house them. And if they can't do it here and they can do it somewhere else, they should go there. If I was younger, or if I've told the director, I said, if I was not under authority, my husband doesn't want to live here. He's older than me, so you can imagine. I will also Japa, but I will never forget this country because I understand the potential and I know how much we can deliver. And I know those of us who are here and are in other places, when we get up and speak or we present our work, even they themselves, they respect us. They give us their work to read. Before, anyway, let me not digress. But I think we all have a role to decolonize everything around us. If you're a teacher, decolonize your curriculum. If you're an employer, decolonize your work environment. If you're an employee, even your job description, make sure you're giving your best as a human being and as a Nigerian. I would like to say that Okagbare may even be my cousin. We are from the same village. I'm from Agbaro. A few weeks ago, somebody asked me when I didn't disclose where I was. I'm from Agbaro, Ekwere specifically, in Ughelli North local government area of Delta State. And the correct pronunciation of the name is Okagbare. Okagbare means the different types have come together, at least one interpretation of it. The different kinds or types have come together and is now complete. That is what we should aspire to be as Nigerians. We are diverse, culturally, by religion, by ethnicity. They say almost 400 now, they discover new ones every year. But we can all come together and be one entity. And that's what I would like us to live here with. Whether I'm in the UK, where I have been, or in the US, where I have not worked, but I've visited several times, or in Nigeria, I'm in Nigeria. And I'm doing my work to the best of my ability and to showcase Nigeria. And I want to challenge all of us here to do the same thing. And it is possible for you to even migrate within Nigeria. And the other aspect that maybe that's where I should stop is the director keeps talking about global studies. We need to do that. Everything is not about migration. And migration can meet with global studies, like one Professor Michael Kwanashi tried to show some months back. He described a nexus or the interface or connection between migration and global studies. And all these are presentations, including mine. We should try to add quantitative data to it so that eventually the story, people, you know, even people in the arts these days, they don't just want to hear quotes or stories or feelings or recommendations. They want to see physical data, you know, that buttresses the things we are trying to say. I will stop there. Okay, Agbare, I think you are probably.
I can hear you.
My cousin. We are from the same village. I didn't know that until now. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
That is good. What a wonderful discovery. So this is also a platform to discover each other. Like some people have discovered the Emeritus Professor Sogolo, our teacher online, and it was a wonderful reunion for them. So this is also one positive part of this platform. Thank you very much for your contribution, Professor Kwanashi. Even though I also call you my sister because we are all from former Bede, they call us. Thank you so much. Nice one. So we are now going to allow Professor Okagbare. Am I right? Am I calling it well?
Yes.
Professor Kagbare to now answer us. So I'm learning fast. Prof, takes over. I just want to say some of the disadvantages. Maybe we'll make this another topic for another day. Some of our young ones that go over there also find it difficult to get married. Some of them are complaining they have a platform that they don't even have time to socialize. One of the disadvantages of Japa, they load them with so much work that they are just, when they are single, they are almost single for the rest of their life, or they will become so old before they will even see somebody to say hello there. And yet there are many youths flocking the place, and yet they cannot have a social relationship, especially concerning marriage. And I also say, if all our experienced people are going away, can we get a replacement easily? What can the government do? Because if they are going away, we say, yes, they are sharing, they are selling us, but we are left with almost nothing. That's a big problem, and nothing can buy experience. And I want to also observe that even those who are living in government offices, they are not being replaced. It's like eyes are closed to them, and those vacancies remain. And the few left are now overworked. And so that those few may also want to Japa because of stress of being overworked. I don't know whether Prof is looking at all those angles. No matter how much training we give to the young ones, nothing can beat experience. Thank you, sir. So with all these comments and observations and questions, you are now to take over the virtual space to answer those questions. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone, for all the various comments and their contributions. I have tried to expose people to I looked at the advantages of Japa. So there are advantages, not as if there are no advantages. And then you also look at the disadvantages. They are also there. But you see, we as human beings, we have a responsibility. Like I said in the lecture, we have this country called Nigeria, and we are the ones that can build it. If we all run away, don't ever think anybody's going to come here to build it. The only thing that can happen in the future is that we will be recolonized. Because if you have a village where all the men are taken away on exile, what happened to the future of such a society? You won't even have any place to come back to. And that is a problem itself. Why are we human beings? And why do we find ourselves in any entity? So we have a responsibility to see that if you have a means of taking care of yourself and then being able to develop your immediate environment, you make a better human being. Because you look at it, those countries you are running to, how many of them are running also to your country with the hope of coming to develop us? None. We are the ones who can develop ourselves. Now, we have a platform that we are now using, this platform now, this Center of Excellence and Migration Studies. It was the vision of Professor Abdallah Adam. And when he was talking, I was just saying, well, thank God he returned back to Nigeria. Because if he had not come back to Nigeria, all the good things he did in now, he wouldn't have been able to do it. He would be there in his foreign land, wearing t-shirt, drinking fresh milk, and wearing jeans. But he wouldn't have been able to do much for Kano people. All his researches in Kano, what he has done, yeah, they may not have brought him personal financial gain, but posterity will judge him kindly. So we as human beings, that is what is required of us. When I was leaving England, my professor told me, Gregory, you are the first African I have met who have come to England, was given a job and he turned it down. I told him I have to go home. My people needs me. And I returned to Nigeria. And I can tell you that I don't regret coming back. I know in terms of maybe financially, yes, I may have maybe made more money if I was outside because I'll be earning pound sterling. And with the poor exchange rate now, I will make more money. But I know that even some of my contemporaries, judging from what I've been able to do here, number of people have been able to assist in Nigeria here, I wouldn't have been able to do those things if I were in Europe. And these people who have been able to assist here in Nigeria, if you quantify even their own resources now, as part of the wealth I have been able to dissipate to them, those who are overseas cannot even match me. So some of these things, yes, it's easy to judge. When I was about people were telling me, Prof, why do you want to go home? Eh? Don't you see the light here? Don't you see the lab, kind of lab you are using here? And don't you see how easy it is? Well, if you want to go for a seminar, you have sponsorship. Your library is well stocked. You can get any material from anywhere and all that. Some of these things are there, yes, but we must remember we have a responsibility to our country. And it is my wish that if it is possible, I will want the Americans to start coming back to Nigeria here, instead of we be the ones living and running to that land. Each time they see us, once a Nigerian passport is presented, how do they look at us? These people have come again. You know, it's not a good thing. And we are the ones who can do it. Americans, Jamaicans, Europeans cannot come and develop this land for us. So I thank all those who have spoken, and I want to appeal to everyone that we have a responsibility. Even if you Japa, please remember to come back home, because east or west, home still remains the best. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof, for summarizing everyone's contribution. I don't know whether there are more, because it's a professor with us. We have the privilege of extending it a little.
Just to answer your last request.
Yes.
I have a 28-year-old female and a 25-year-old male. They don't think about religion, but for the 28-year-old, you must not send a test with OMG, not clearly stated, and all those kind of English. So see me, it will be gratis, and I'll connect.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Prof, yeah, Professor Kwanashi, it's like your hand is up.
Oh, okay. I saw Professor Abdallah's hand, so I hope to.
That's right. That's right.
Yes,
that's right.
After you.
Okay,
Yes,
it was clapping.
But I can say something. Yeah, that's fine. I just want to. We shouldn't. Sorry, I don't want to go back and forth. No, the idea is that this is a very lovely country. Even the weather alone, and the fact that somebody will say hello to you is good. If more people leave, we still have people here doing the thing who are trained. At least from my generation, it will take some time before we be depleted, before we start asking for doctors or nurses or teachers. The problem is, I was one of the best as a student. I don't have a lab where I can do the kind of work that will progress Nigeria. Hello, Professor Kagbare, the environment is not conducive for me to reach my zenith, for me to excel. And if I decide to go somewhere, if I was younger, for example, and I go to the UK, I will be able to achieve more. And achieving more there is not only helping the global community, it's also helping us as Nigerians, because I'm bringing the credit to Nigeria. When Professor Tijani, where he is in the US, is performing, he is recognized as a Nigerian. In this place where I am now, I can't go beyond where I am now. And the people coming below me are even in a worse situation. That is why we need to mix and match. When I present my passport, they don't say they have come again. They are happy to have me and elect me into international positions, because they know that this Nigerian will deliver. And many Nigerians are like that. So I'm happy that Professor Abdallah came back and he has developed NOUN. But in his wisdom, listen, he has advised his daughter not to come. There is wisdom there because he knows that the environment the daughter will come to will not allow her to be her best. So every day, every night I get home, I write reference for my students, my mentees and all, who are eager to Japa. They are young, and I encourage them because if not, they have reached their end. It's not that there is no disadvantage there, or there is no discrimination, no racism.
Yes,
Anyway, I would like to stop there. I'm just saying, I'm not really for and against. There are the advantages and disadvantages. And if we discourage people completely from going out of this country, we have stagnated though. In my pharmacology lab, I'm still mounting tissues. Nobody does that anymore. We need to go to a place where they work with cell lines, where they use computer simulation. Then as our brain are charging, we can bring those things back.
I think we should get it right. What I have said is that if you look at the entire text, you will see where I enumerated the advantages, where our professionals go out, they're better recognized, and that has effect on those of them home here. But then we must also realize that we have a responsibility to develop our homeland. Those who are going should put that at the back of their mind. India did it. Today, the Indians are coming back. The Jews did it. The Chinese, they do it. In fact, for most of the foreign students in the UK, they are mainly from China and India. So that's the point. So if you must go, you should go with an objective. Don't forget home. Also try to see how you can develop back home. That is the way it should be. But for many who have gone there, I also know a good number of my friends who have left this country and they are stranded in Europe. If they were here, many of them would have been permanent secretaries by now. And you cannot equate even their status at all in any way. When they were there, they were younger, they were doing well, but suddenly things turned. And today, where are they? So it's not as if once you just go there, then there are medical doctors, even as we have it now, where they say doctors are required in those countries. There are doctors who are in all those places who are not even doing anything. And some of them have started resort to even, it's not as if once you get there, then everything is, in fact, some of them are regretting. I know of a bank manager who was with the same, he was working with my wife when they were in the bank. The man left this country with his children with the hope of having greener pastures in the UK. What is he doing now? So it's not as if once you just get there, then everything is hooray. No, but that's not to say that you should stay here and die. But if you must go, give your best and remember to, and if you are going, go with a clear goal. Don't just go with the mind that once you just get there, then everything will be there. You just get the job and all that. It's a lie. It's not as easy as people think it is. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. I agree that once we go, we should have it in mind that someday we may need to come back home. Because somebody once told me when my first visit to the UK in the 80s, and I said, wow, here is so nice. And I think I want to also come and join you and remain here. Then I told me, like, we are getting ready to come back home. The day you arrive UK is the day you start preparing for home going. Mm-hmm. Don't forget that home is the best. As far back as in the 80s, and that is almost 40 years ago. So I know that our young ones need to go so that they get relieved a bit, because most of them don't have jobs and they get jobs. You cannot, no parent will say, leave, stay here without job. You're looking at my face, I'll be feeding you. I don't think it's easy to take that decision. So let me see, I can see 2 hands up. Professor Abdallah, sir, please kindly let me call this person, Honorable Oladimeji. Oladimeji, okay. Please, can you make your point? Then Prof will now make his point.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, the professors that have made a comment. This one is a good one, but the only thing is that if you are talking of Japa,
which you know that there's a lot of factors that is responsible for that. The only thing that I'm going to add to this is that let those or we that in academic sector should signify interest in joining politics that not allow the mediocres alone to be contesting for an election. It is then that we can settle a lot of cases in this country. Let them come back to join politics. Being you, if you are in a class, if you are a professor, you retire as a professor, try to contest. All those knowledge we are having, we should be able to contribute and know how to give back to the society. If you are not saying that everybody is Japa, you want to go to America, you get there, you study them, you see the way they are doing their own politics there. Coming back here, tell your people that you want to represent them. It's then in order to correct those things that is in politics now. That is just my own contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Oladimeji, for your contribution. So, sir, I now want to hear from Professor Abdallah, since his hand is up.
What I wanted to point out is I would have loved if the paper had focused attention on the political economy of Japaism. This is because we have been getting some WhatsApp messages comparing standards of living in US and in Nigeria, where someone says $1 cannot feed you in the US, but 740 Naira, which is equivalent to Naira equivalent of $1, can feed you. And many of us have houses. I'm living in my own built house now. And I know no matter how many years I worked in the US, I may not get enough salary or enough opportunities to build this particular house. So if we look at the political economy of Japaism and see that something that looks cheap in the US is even cheaper here, simply because of the exchange rate, then that might be a very good basis for asking people to hang on rather than just simply decide to go raw. Because your rent, your taxes, and all the other things that you pay, the value added tax that you buy a novel. I bought a novel in New York and they're adding some money on it. I say, why are you adding more? This is what it says on the cover. And guy says, well, that's a New York tax. You have to pay it. So if you look at the political economy of survival over there, unless you are a super professor like Hakim Tijani, getting almost $1 million a month, I doubt very much if it's really worth it. So if I'm presenting a paper about compelling reasons not to run away, I think I will focus on the political economy of survival, those places. And by the time you tell people the real hard truth about living in the US, the crime, well, sure, you hear about kidnapping here, you hear about ones and all that, but people don't go inside a supermarket with an automatic assault weapon and open fire and kill everybody. People don't go into schools here and start blowing the heads of tiny little children just because they feel like blowing somebody's heads up. The police don't stop you and then they start strangling you like they did with the child and the calls. I mean, Nigeria is bad, but not as bad as over there that we see because there is constant light, constant electricity, and so on and so forth. I think the political economy of Japaism should be the next paper that someone should present, because I can see Professor Sogolo wanting to present it.
Okay, sir. Professor Sogolo has his hands up. Okay, sir, over to you. Thank you so much, Professor Abdallah.
Yeah, I just want to say that, this those who decide to Japa do so sometimes on their own personal experience. And we need to consider this thing on the basis of individual experiences. When I was in the US in 1996, I went there and I was a visiting professor. And, I did the first 6 months. I was offered another 6 months, but I refused. I couldn't stay for one reason, that my experience socially was very bad. I was very, very lonely. I would take a bus from where I was living with students, and get to the campus of the university, and then take a bus again and get back. Now, I couldn't socialize more than that, because the person I really was friendly to, Ali Mazuri, was most of the time not around. And, you know, when they asked me to stay for another 6 months, because my wife was in the UK, and I said no, you know, because throughout I became lonely. That's my own personal experience. Now, when Professor Abdallah said the daughter wanted to come back and he said no, I've had the same experience. My 2 children, one is in Singapore, the other one is in the UK, and they are both working. And when they wanted to come, I had the experience of a report of somebody who had, you know, a young man who was visiting from Edo State and was on his way back to the US, and he was killed. Now, my children, you know, I'm married to an Englishman, and my children are half caste. And they look, when you see this man, oh, he must have plenty of money, even when they have no money. So if they visit as regularly as I cannot stand the trauma of anything happening to them. So when they now tell me they want to come, and I said, no, just stay for a while, because I don't want to go through that experience. I'm saying this because as an individual, you must see this as my personal experience. So it's not something that you will say, oh, generally, morally, it is right, or nationally, it is right or wrong. Like Okagbare might say, oh, they should come and develop Nigeria. Yes, that's my own belief. But knowing what I will go through if anything happens to them, you know, you have to grant me that I should allow them to stay there for a while. The last point I want to make is this. When I contributed earlier, I talked about ignorance. When I was at the University of Ibadan as a dean, I helped a friend to bring the daughter from Lagos who wanted to enter the university. We got her a place because she was going to take, she had been taking the JAM exam and has been failing. So we got her a place, we got her a tutorial place to go. But a week after that, after we made this good arrangements, the mother came to Ibadan and without my knowing, took the girl away. And by the time I heard a week after that, the sister came to me to say that the mother of the girl said that going to the UK, going to London, according to her, was better than a university degree. Look at that kind of comparison. That education was, that traveling to the, emigrating to the UK was better than a university degree. And that is plain ignorance. Anybody who makes that comparison, that educating yourself is, going outside is better than educating yourself. Because when you even go outside, that education has value there. It has value everywhere. So a lot of things happen this way. Individuals make their own judgment based on ignorance. That's the point I was making earlier. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that contribution and for making it clearer. Thank you so much. Looks like we are done with a question and comment session. I can't see any hand up again. I guess everyone has been given a fair opportunity to say something. Okay, somebody so far. Okay, let's quickly hear from you. We want to be out of here by 2 p.m. So let's hear from you. Over to you, sir. So I don't know if there's any other person while he's struggling with his system. Is there another person who wants to say something? Looks like he's trying to type. Let's just give him 1 minute and see whether it's something that needs the presenter to answer. Otherwise, we call it a day. Agbare, I hope I am right, or Kagbare. I want to call it like Professor Kwaneshi taught us. Right, to learn. We want to really thank him because I have listened to him during his inaugural lecture, and I know he delivered and everybody appreciated it. So I was not surprised that he gave us a very good presentation today. And of course, it shows that we really have an erudite scholar before us. We thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us and enlightening us more on the way to go, to look at the pros and cons of data, and then to take a good decision to always remember home, east or west, home is the best. So thank you so much. I want to thank all the professors here, my very senior colleagues. I thank you all, especially Professors Abdallah, our former Vice Chancellor, Emeritus Professor Sogolo, and of course, my pioneer director of this center, Professor Tijani, Professor Kwanache, and so many people. I think I'm very happy about this attendance today. We're almost about 40. I can see, yes, Dr. Ogulela is there. She's there from time to time. I saw Dr. Alero, I saw Dr. Gloria Aorie, my sake. Of course, Professor Bewaji has been there with us. And, you know, I really thank everybody. I cannot name everybody here.
Professor Amanda.
Yeah, Professor Amanda came today to support his friend. Professor Amanda, we want to see more of you on this platform. He rarely shows his face. So I'm sure he's very much here because of Professor Okagbare, and I'm going to hold on to Professor Amanda because I've been begging him to present on this platform. He has been refusing me. So I'm reporting him to the house. So let him is turn.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And of course, my dear friend is here, Dr. A2. There is A2. It's nice seeing all of you. I'm really very happy seeing you here. Because when you are here, is when we feel we are doing something. And I can see my friend from Base University, Professor Agatha Ogo. Hi, Professor Agatha. I didn't see your face, but I can see your name there. Thank you so much. And then everybody, I thank you all. And in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have another
Professor
presentation.
John Ayotunde is here with us too.
Charity Okonkwo is there.
It's like 9
Okay,
hours.
that's Professor Bewaji. I've caught him. I've recognized Professor Bewaji. Yes, I've recognized him. So thank you so much. It's been an exciting moment. I'm sure we have all learned 1 or 2 things. I thank you, and I'll expect to see you here in a fortnight when we shall be bringing another wonderful topic and another wonderful presenter. Thank you, and have a blessed day. Thank you so much, and bye-bye, everyone.